welcome to Education Dialogues. For this week's big interview, I'm joined by Ms. Roshni Nadar, CEO and Executive Director, HCL Corporation, and Mr. Prem Kumar, Chief Mentor and Director, HCL's Talent Care. Thanks for talking to us, Ms. Nadar. Thanks for talking to us, Mr. Kumar. Now, skill and development is absolutely key when it comes to, and we're looking at 500 million workforce by 2022, which is obviously also the government's target. And initiative like this will go a long way. So how did the idea come about?
I think, we've been in technology for over 40 years and, which has been a real economic driver for the company and for the country's growth. And, today we have over 100,000 professionals working within the HCL group between the technology companies. And one of the things that we did realize is that over the years we've had to actually nurture, develop, train and skill a lot of people within the organization. Some have gone on to take leadership roles within the organization, some have left and have done very well in other industries as well. But there was a huge gap, even if we looked at just technology, that existed at the entry level at the time that a graduate actually joins the company and at the time the graduate is actually job ready and productivity ready to be billed. There was a certain lag time. And that in itself created a big gap. And that's just in the technology space. But we're talking about BFSI, we're talking about healthcare and many other different industries within the country. And like you mentioned, 500 million people who will need to be trained and ready to be in jobs by 2020. So there's a huge supply-demand mismatch happening, and it's a great opportunity for HCL.
Right. And obviously, when you talk about employable talent, it has always been a big concern. And an initiative like this will go a long way. Talk to us about the kind of courses which are being offered. Mr. Kumar?
So I think our focus from a course point of view is divided into three key components. One is that what sectors are we addressing? So we address sectors like technology, banking, insurance, healthcare. The reasons why we selected these sectors are based on the entry-level requirements of these sectors being the highest. That's one of the reasons. The second aspect that defines the the triad of reason why we looked at it. Second is, in each of these areas, the gap which is there between what a college gets a person ready for and what the employer wants on day one is significant. That's the second reason why we looked at it in the context of the model. And the third aspect is this talent is eminently scalable.
Right.
It has to be scalable. There is an opportunity to skill. There's a large gap, and we do believe that these sectors are seeking a lot of freshers. So that's the whole context of what really brought us into this and the kind of model that we have built, which is around these sectors.
So is there going to be any kind of a job guarantee? Perhaps that's not the right word, but any kind of job assurance at the end of this course?
Indeed. 100% of the graduating scholars from our point, which could be, we have what we would define is as a very detailed assessment process, and somebody really goes through this assessment process, we assure them of a job.
Right. Now, Ms. Nadar, talking about skilling, the role of corporates is key here, and there is an argument, since this is for industry, it should also be by industry. Do you believe in that?
Yes, so I think a big part of our HCL Talent Care experience is going to be collaborating with industry, whether it's part of the program is fully residential, but that's also, inviting industry experts and people and practitioners to actually share what's going on in the industry. Also for us to partner with a lot of organizations to understand what is actually going to be their need almost 3 years hence, and what is it that we should be training, the scholars for. It's not, we can't exist in an independent silo. We have to collaborate with industry, and that's really the only way this is going to be a very long-term sustainable venture.
Right. When you look at the skilled population in India, we're lagging behind countries like China, South Korea. Do you think we will be able to catch up?
Of course, we will be able to catch up. I think one of the things that we've also talked about, the advantage of India is the fact that we're a significantly young population, as opposed to some of the countries you mentioned.
Right.
So that in itself creates a huge opportunity, and we'll continue to be a very young nation, and we'll catch up. Absolutely.
Right.
Just
right.
to add to that question is essentially the question is not whether we will catch up. The question is when will we catch up.
Right.
I think the need to catch up is a given. The second aspect is that when you look at the demographic dividend that Roshni talked about, in the sense that we are a young population, it also gives us the responsibility, because across the globe there is a significant demand of Indian talent. So we believe that this initiative of ours is going around the whole context of talent made in India.
Ms. Nathar, if you look at the number of Indians enrolled in skilling courses, that's 5.5 million, as opposed to 90 million in case of China. Do you see initiatives like these changing the scenario? Of course, we need more people like you to step up.
Absolutely. I think that a huge market exists. I think where HCL Talent Care is differentiated is that we're not just sourcing the talent, we're skilling the talent, and we're staffing the talent. So the staffing part is where we're working very closely with industry. And this could be industry today within India. Tomorrow it could be even industries globally. I think the trend that one saw with IT, at least over the last 30 years, is that not only did we create an IT industry and an IT economic boom for India, but how many of our professionals actually went abroad? You look at Silicon Valley and you look at, other geographies. I mean, it was a huge, brain and IT export.
Right.
So similarly in other areas that are in industry, we've got such a big gap in terms of skill that it's talent made in India, but talent for global.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I think the way we have structured the entire program, if you look at it from an academics point of view, we call it the blended learning methodology. And the blended learning methodology essentially looks at classroom training, looks at it in terms of technology-based training, plus also looks at it in the context of practice schools. We have built practice schools, and we have also looked at it in the context of building on-job training, which means the person not only tries to work and works around in practice school, but is actually on the job for a period of time, meaning it could be almost 3 months, where he's actually doing the job for which he will eventually graduate to.
right. And my last question, talk to us about the road ahead.
I think for HCL Corporation, we've got technology, we've got healthcare, and now we've got talent care. But for us, the road ahead, as well as the journey so far, has really been that we're a group which has been in the business of people.
Right.
If that's the way I have to look at the focus for HCL. And going forward, this is the journey ahead. I think for HCL Talent Care specifically, at least over the next 3 years, we want to be able to source, skill, staff at least 20,000 professionals. The number may not sound that big, but we're looking at really focused industry specifics, special staff. I think a lot of skilling companies are only looking at generic training, but
Right.
we're talking about getting focused to what is it the industry actually needs.
Right.
So, and I'm sure that over the years this number will expand. I think just by the sheer legacy of HCL and HCL being the large group that it is, that scaling at a future level will not be an issue.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Kumar. Thank you.